The sub-characters of A Clergyman's Daughter by George Orwell are Reverend Charles Hare, who is Dorothy Hare's father, the main character, who is a self-centered clergyman. And then there is Mr. Burton, who is easygoing. He's a bachelor who tries to seduce Dorothy. And then there's Miss Evelyn Sempril, who is Night Hill's gossiper. And then there's Nobby, who is a beggar and a petty theft. And then there is Sir Thomas Hare, who is Dorothy's uncle, who is good-hearted and a knucklehead. There is also Mrs. Krabby, who is basically the principal of the school that Dorothy soon gets a job at. Dorothy was down on her luck and worked very hard. As she is working hard, she is seduced by Mr. Warburton, who takes her out on a date, and when he takes her home, tries to kiss her. And then Sir Simperl is the one who tries. She spreads the rumor around town that she's messing with Mr. Warburton. And soon she is put into amnesia, and when she wakes up, after 8 days of being unaccounted for, Dorothy is transported to Old Kent Road with amnesia, and she falls in with Nobby and his friends, who receive her as one of them, and they help her, and she soon gets a job. But she sees a article in the newspaper, and that's when she starts to get her memory. She is gone for those 8 days. Rumors have spread that she is eloped with Mr. Warburton, and that's why she's not there. But while she's gone, she is arrested for vagrancy and in a jail cell at a police station. And she begins to write letters to her father, but they aren't answered. While she is gone, she contacts her cousin Sir Thomas Hare, and then she moves back to Night Hill, and she gets a job at an all-girls academy where Mrs. Creve, the principal, does not know that Dorothy is coming to be the new teacher. One day, Mr. Warburton showed up at Dorothy's school as she stepped out the school in a taxi to take her back to Night Hill, and while in the car he proposed to her, and she rejected, and he claimed and whined and told her about how he thinks that she had lost her faith, which she kinda did. As time goes on, Dorothy begins to gain her faith back, and she's back into her old step in her old way of doing things, like nothing ever happened, like she had never lost her memory, and found it the day that she did after reading the news article in the paper when she first started to remember things. My first reaction to reading A Clergyman's Daughter was, wow, Dorothy is a really good daughter, because she did everything her father told her to do, and she worked very hard, and most of it wasn't even for her. So that made me think, wow, she's a good daughter and she'll do anything for her dad. And it just made me want to be more like her, because she was a daddy's girl, but she wasn't too much of a daddy's girl where she let him spoil her, even though she was a clergyman's daughter, and most of the clergymen have money. But she paid attention. She kept her faith and did everything that she needed to do, and did what her father asked her to do, and she never complained. So it really made me look at her like, wow, she's a good daughter. This book really made me open up my eyes and look at things in a different way, and it kind of gave me insight on the way people from different religions, like Catholic or something like that, or a religion similar to that. It made me see how they value their family and the certain things that they do. And I really liked the book because of George Orwell's style of writing it, and it made it more like the way he writes his books is like more interesting, I thought, and I think that it being by George Orwell made it more interesting and fun to read. What I really liked about the book was how it ended, and it kind of made it like kind of go back to the beginning, and it like nothing, like all the major plots and twists never happened, and how she was like a normal girl. She wasn't all bratty. She appreciated what she had. And then there were people in the books that were like everybody else that you will find at any church in any religion. Like you had the gossiper, you had the beggar, you had the good guy, and then you had like Dorothy, who was like basically like the preacher's daughter, and then you had the preacher or the clergyman, who was Reverend Hare, her father. So that's what really made me like the book, because it wasn't different, even though from way back when it made me see that certain things in life haven't changed that much at all. Like the way our religions are, they haven't changed. They still have the same roles, the same people that are in the churches or whatever they call their church. So it really made me say, wow, it's not that different. As closing comments, I would like to say that A Clergyman's Daughter I thought was a good book, and I would recommend it to all high school readers. It is a very easy book, but yet it's very informational. It lets you see things in a different way. It helps you to be more open-minded, and I I chose the book because of the writer George Orwell, because I really started to like his books when I read his book 1984, which is different, and I liked his books because it wasn't like really true, but it could happen but not really happen. So I really liked it because it wasn't basically all fiction. You could see it happening, just like A Clergyman's Daughter. It could happen, but it's not likely. And I really liked it because it was like something that you thought would happen or could happen, but it wouldn't likely happen that often. And if it did, you wouldn't probably hear about it. And I liked how his books are, even though they're fiction and they have things in them that couldn't possibly happen or wouldn't happen, they still keep like the human like thing, like the people in it, the personalities of the people. He doesn't go all the way unrealistic with it, and I really liked it because he didn't go all the way unrealistic. And because some people don't really like those type of books, I think I don't really like those books, but I really like this book even though it's not true, and I usually like books that are real and based upon real things. So I think that George Orwell is a really good writer, and I would recommend his books to anybody, not just high school students, but mainly high school students. I think that that will be a good read, and it's very understandable.
Take a